Welcome to Audit the Audit, where we sort out the who and what and the right and wrong of police interactions. This episode covers drinking in public, criminal matters versus civil matters, and admission of guilt, and comes to us from Real World Police's channel. Be sure to check out the description below and give them the credit that they deserve. Let's dive right in and audit the interaction. On August 4th, 2018, an unidentified civilian engaged in a verbal dispute with the employees of Valley Pizza, a locally owned pizzeria on Picacho Avenue in Las Cruces, New Mexico. The civilian became disruptive after a disagreement over a pizza, which resulted in the employees calling the police. Soon after, officers from the Las Cruces Police Department arrive on the scene and make contact with the civilian who is sitting on the front patio of the restaurant.
Are you aware that it's illegal to drink in public?
I am aware of that.
Mr. 901, can I copy?
I think this is private property.
Stand by this one, Bank Center 901.
Go ahead.
Mark Patrick Fadia, invalid revoke, showing the 66-8122G on the Class I. D5189 of 2017 says 29 clear.
I'm direct, thank you. So you are aware that it is illegal to drink in public?
Well, I know we're on private property though, kid.
I understand you're in private property, but you're still in the view of the public.
That's different.
That's not different. That's drinking in public.
No, I'm on private property.
I'm telling you, I could cite you if you're sitting in your front yard, if you're in the view of the public.
Section 5.1 of the Las Cruces Code states that it is unlawful for any person to consume alcoholic beverages in or on any public place, except in establishments with an alcohol license. Subsection B of this code also bans the possession of any bottle, can, or other receptacle containing alcohol which has been opened or had its seal broken. Subsection C goes on to provide a clear definition of a public place as it applies to the code, and includes any place or business open to the use of the public in general, open to public view, or to which the public has access, but says nothing about private property in the public view. In the 2015 Iowa Supreme Court case of State v. Pay, the court held that the front steps of a single-family home are not public unless the home's residents make them public by extending a general invitation to the public at large. It is very unlikely that an officer could charge a civilian with a crime for drinking on their own private property, but no higher courts have addressed this issue specifically in New Mexico. Although the civilian in this interaction is on private property, I called and confirmed that Valley Pizza does not serve alcohol and does not have an alcohol license, which means that the civilian is in violation of Section 5.1 for possessing an open container in public.
You're drinking in public.
Have you seen me take a drink?
You're just holding your beer right now.
I didn't take a drink.
No, but
you haven't seen me, so you can't do anything.
You just admitted
I know the
me.
law, man.
You just admitted to me that you're drinking.
Hey, well, it's open, but you have not seen me take a drink, and you're not.
But you just admitted it to me. I don't even have to ask you.
You need to see me.
I don't need to see you drinking. You just admitted to it.
Admitting does not matter. I know I admitted. I said I've been drinking. Everybody knows that.
While it is impossible to know what exactly transpired before this recording began, the civilian never actually admitted to drinking alcohol on video at any time up until this point. The officer was able to convince the civilian that he had already admitted to drinking while dismissing the fact that he had not seen the civilian actually take a drink. This part of the interaction highlights the importance of invoking the Fifth Amendment right to silence as much and as strategically as possible. Engaging in a pointless banter with a police officer rarely has an impact on whether or not you are arrested, but can have a significant negative effect on your case in the courtroom. It is best to remain silent as much as possible, and never answer questions from police without an attorney present. Because the civilian in this interaction admitted to drinking in public to the officer, it will be extremely difficult to defend that charge in the courtroom.
But you need to see me drinking.
I don't need to see you. Go ahead and stand up, man.
For what?
Go ahead and stand up, man. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Turn around behind your back. Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
I'm not gonna be detained, man.
You're gonna be detained.
No, you can let me go on my way, and that's all, man. I'm not gonna be detained.
You're gonna be detained right now, okay?
No, I don't feel like being detained right now. I'm gonna going
I'm not giving you an option.
Why?
I'm telling you you're being detained
For what?
for drinking in public.
I'm not drinking in public.
And
They
you're
haven't
trespassing.
seen me.
They asked you to leave, you didn't leave. You came out here and waited.
They owe me money.
That's civil matter, man.
Hey,
that's something you have to
you
take to
guys-
the courts.
You're with them now? You're with them now, huh?
No, that's civil matter.
Oh. Look, if you want me to say too much, it'll get you in a lot of trouble, man.
It'll get me in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
How
I
is it gonna
say
get me
too
in
much.
trouble?
Because you guys are all in this together, man.
I'm telling you, that's civil matter. What happens between them and us?
Look, if it's a civilian matter, that's in public.
No,
Well, private property.
you guys' money exchange is a civil matter. Okay, but you being on their property is
It's
called
not-
trespassing after they've
It's
asked
not
you to
even
leave.
an exchange because I haven't gotten no pizza yet.
Here, the officer declares that the prior dispute between the civilian and Valley Pizza was a civilian matter, and that police officers deal exclusively in criminal matters. Civil cases and criminal cases are two distinct legal proceedings, and are dictated by parties involved and the alleged offense being tried. In a civil case, a person or entity, also known as the plaintiff, claims that another person or entity, the defendant, has failed to carry out a legal duty owed to the plaintiff. The plaintiff may ask the court to order the defendant to fulfill the duty or make compensation for the harm done, or both. Individuals, corporations, and the federal government can also bring civil suits in federal court, claiming violations of federal statutes or constitutional rights. For example, the federal government can sue a hospital for overbilling Medicare and Medicaid, which is a violation of a federal statute. Or an individual could sue a police department for violating their constitutional rights. In criminal cases, a person accused of a crime is generally charged in a formal accusation called an indictment. The government prosecutes the case through the United States Attorney's Office if the person is charged with a federal crime, or the state's attorney's office for a state crime. Unlike civil cases, it is not the victim's responsibility to bring a criminal case. Some cases involve elements of both civil and criminal litigation, such as when someone is charged with homicide and also sued for wrongful death. Generally, officers are not involved in civilian cases such as the dispute between this civilian and Valley Pizza, but this interaction has escalated into a criminal matter because of the civilian's refusal to leave and possession of an open container. To members of law enforcement, the criminal aspects of any encounter should take precedence over civilian disputes, and it is difficult to fault the responding officer for focusing on the crimes. However, the Las Cruces officers could have potentially de-escalated the situation by resolving the initial disagreement and still arresting the civilian for the open container.
Alright, man. Like I said, turn around, put your hands behind your back. You're going to be detained for further
I'm
investigation,
not, I'm
okay?
not being detained, dog.
I'm telling you you're going to be detained,
No,
okay?
I'm not. You can't tell me what I know.
I'm telling you you're
You
going to be
can't
detained,
tell
okay?
me my word, dude. You can't.
I'm going to detain you.
No, you're not. You can't say nothing. I know what's gonna happen.
What's that?
You're gonna let me go on my way.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
I'm really not.
And you're gonna either get my pizza or my money back, because that's against the
I'm
law.
not going to do that either. That's a civil
Yeah,
matter.
you're helping them rob me. Or... Yeah,
it's not
I'm
a rob.
telling you, you're gonna get yourself in trouble.
I'm not getting myself in trouble. You're going to get yourself in trouble.
No, I haven't done anything wrong.
Like I said, you're drinking in public, you're trespassing.
You haven't even seen me. I haven't even taken a drink.
Like I said, turn around, man.
No, I'm not turning around, dude.
Criminal trespassing laws vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction and are typically enforced on both the state and local level. Section 1942 of the Las Cruces Code states that criminal trespassing consists of unlawfully entering or remaining upon the lands of another, knowing that such consent to enter or remain is denied or withdrawn by the owner or occupant thereof. The Las Cruces trespassing law is adopted from Section 3014.1 of the New Mexico state statutes, which is typical in states that already have an established trespassing law on the books. Given that a prior conflict occurred between the civilian and the Valley Pizza employees, it is safe to assume that the civilian is no longer welcome on the property and is in violation of Section 1942.
All right,
Get
man.
my pizza, dude.
You need to turn around.
Get my pizza, dude.
Hey, someone step it up.
Get my pizza.
You need to turn around.
No, they owe me some money, dog.
You need
Hey,
to
you're
turn
an
around.
officer of the law. Get my pizza, dude, or get my money.
That's a civil matter. I already told you.
Nah, hey. What happens when somebody robs you, huh? Somebody takes your money and keeps it. What happens, huh?
That's
You're
not a
supposed to call
robbery.
the cops.
This is not robbery. This
You're
is
right
a civil
here,
matter.
man.
This is a civil matter.
No, it
You need to
ain't.
turn around. You need to turn around.
No,
you want to
hey,
get tased?
I don't want to get tased.
Then turn around.
The officer fires the taser, but one of the prongs fails to connect, prompting the officer to fire a second time, this time successfully stunning the civilian. The civilian is then wrestled to the ground, where he is placed in handcuffs and taken to jail. After a brief search, the officers located what appeared to be a small light bulb with drug residue inside it, in possession of the civilian, who admitted that it was methamphetamine. The civilian was likely charged with resisting arrest, trespassing, possession of drugs, and possession of an open container, but I was unable to find any official documentation regarding his charges. Information surrounding this interaction was difficult to locate, so if you have any information about this encounter, comment below and I will add reliable information to the description as an update. Overall, the officers from the Las Cruces Police Department get a B+, because although they operated within the bounds of their authority, they made no effort to de-escalate the interaction or ensure that justice was properly served to both parties involved. The Las Cruces officers did the bare minimum necessary to restore peace, and although public peace was attained, justice was not properly served. A sensible argument could be made that resolving the prior dispute between the civilian and the restaurant was not the responsibility of the officers, but this interaction would have unfolded much differently if that prior dispute had been peacefully resolved. The Las Cruces officers could benefit from more proactive professional discretion and focusing on finding solutions to civil disputes rather than arresting someone simply to restore peace. The unidentified civilian gets an F for refusing to obey lawful orders, admitting to drinking in public, and escalating a small civil dispute into a criminal case. There is no question that the civilian was in violation of several statutes, but it is extremely frustrating to feel as though you have been robbed, especially when the police are not helping. Alcohol also probably played a role in the civilian's decision-making and overall emotional stability. Ultimately, the civilian violated the law, openly admitted to doing so to the officer, and refused to obey the officer's commands, which resulted in being arrested. Whatever occurred before the officers arrived could have been settled without police involvement, and the civilian would have done well to cut his losses and settle his dispute with the restaurant later, rather than involve the police while he was drunk and in possession of drugs. Let us know if there is an interaction or legal topic you would like us to cover in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more police interaction content.